It's the kid here. So I want to. This is something that I think some people asked about some time before, which was whether I could do something about TV shows. So I already did I don't know that I've done my favorite films, but I think I kept on hearing in the comment section your favorite TV shows. I know this is a football channel. It's my channel, so screw you. I'll talk about whatever the hell I like. I'm going to talk about Pelicans next week and why Pelicans are important to the human race. Let's keep it to TV shows. So there are a lot of amazing TV shows, and to pick the most amazing TV show is going to be very hard. That's why I've picked 3. And the reason why I picked 3, I'll tell you why. One of these shows I believe is objectively the greatest TV show of all time. Another of these TV shows I believe is the most addictive. Is the most addictive thing I think I've ever done. Maybe apart from playing football or Championship Manager, this is probably one of the most addictive TV shows, one of the most original TV shows ever. And the third one is one of my personal favorites. It's also original, but personal favorites. So let's start with my personal favorites, Quantum Leap. So this show happened round about, I believe it was the early 90s. No, I think late 80s, really late 80s, very early 90s. It was one it ran to. I think it ran through 5 seasons. And basically what it was about was there was this guy called Sam Beckett. And what happened is he pretty much, I think he was doing a time travel experiment. But I think it somehow goes wrong. And what happens is he actually ends up inside the body of an individual from the past, but the past is during his timeline of when he was born to when he was now. So it can never be a time before he was born. So that's the timeline. And what happens is he enters this individual, and he has to. In the original timeline, something bad happens either to this individual or people around this individual, and he has to go into this body as this person and make whatever bad happened good, and actually make sure that the bad thing that happens does not occur. So in a sense, he pretty much changes the timeline. So the audience, us watching, we see Sam Beckett, i.e. played by Scott Bakula, but everybody else, they see the individual. So they don't see Sam Beckett, they see the actual individual there, which is what makes it really, 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 really cool to watch. So for me, it's a fantastic show because what makes the show so good are first of all, it's an incredibly original idea, an absolutely amazing idea, and they use it so. But what makes it so interesting are the different situations he finds himself in. He enters as a black guy during the hecticness of the 60s and the civil rights movement, and having to pretty much play a black guy, and everybody sees him as a black guy, and him having to understand that through a white guy's lens. He enters into the body of a killer instead of an old person. There's so many scenarios he ends up in, and it's very interesting just to see how these stories play out. And that's why, just for me, if you can find it, it is a brilliant, brilliant series. And the beauty about it is that you can enter within every episode, because every episode is a story in and of itself, which is why I think it's so brilliant, because it's not a case where, no, you just start at season 1 and then go through. No, it's just boom. So the other one I have, which is the most addictive, is 24. The first 3 seasons of 24, for me, are the most entertaining, addictive pieces of cinema. There is no film, no TV show, nothing that has been much more entertaining, more engaging, and more addictive than the first 3 seasons of 24. So I think most guys know about it, but in case of you do not know. So, 24 episodes. Each episode is an hour, and each season is a day in the life of a special agent called Jack Bauer, played by the absolutely incredible Kiefer Sutherland. And what this is about is where he works for a counter-terrorist organization called CTU. So there is a massive terror threat, and he has to pretty much find out who is the threat and stop it. And this all takes place all within a day. So what happens is that you are living each hour by hour with him. So once you get to episode 12, it literally is midday for them, and they just instances where you will see the sun rising, and you really feel like, oh, wow, this is 6 a.m. So you're taking time by time through the whole thing. So it is an amazing concept, an amazing idea, and you really feel at the end of each season, you've really lived that day with Jack Bauer and all of the individuals around him. And as I said again, if you haven't seen it, literally, as soon as you finish an episode, like, by the time you get to episode 4 of season 1 or episode 5, you literally will not stop. Like, if I could erase my memory and erase my memory of watching 24, I wish I could do it so I could watch it again because it only works once. Maybe that's the only downside of it. It only works once, but once you watch it for the first time, it's literally the most brilliant thing ever. I mean, season 5 was cool, but it sort of went down a bit. But the first 3 seasons, superb. And the TV show which I feel is objectively the greatest TV show ever made is The Wire. The Wire is the greatest TV show ever made. It is the only TV show where I actually bought the box sets. It is literally like reading a book. It is literally like reading a book. Obviously, it was conceived by David Simon, who worked for, I believe, the Baltimore newspaper. And pretty much what it's about is, on face value, it's like, I've seen them before. Cops, gangsters, and the gangsters and the police trying to get the gangsters, and the gangsters trying to get the police. But it uses that as a segue to bring you in. But the detail that we get into the lives of the gangsters, the detail we get into the lives of the detectives and the police is absolutely brilliant. And the reason why it's such a perfect TV show with 5 seasons that are perfect is like season 1 talks about how the detectives get the gangsters and the life of the gangsters, and these two worlds colliding together. Season 2 talks about the union and the workers' union and the beef that the workers have within the union and the beef that they have within the kinds of regulations that they have and how they go through those regulations. And it takes place on the docks. Season 3 is about this whole false, futile war on drugs and why the war on drugs is futile, and a police commissioner's very inventive way of trying to defeat this war on drugs. Season 4 looks at the youth, at the kids, and how the drugs and the violence affects the youth and how dangerous the youth and how this vicious cycle continues. But with the gangs getting younger and younger, they get even much more dangerous. And season 5 deals with the media and the newspaper and the media's role within reporting about these violent acts. So literally, if you have the time and the patience, because it isn't fast, it is pretty slow. It is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant TV show. So maybe let me just look at some other TV shows which I think are amazing, but the reason why I wouldn't really put them up as a goal. So these are shows that are considered amazing, but I really put them in as one of the best. Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is Scarface, but told in a very interesting way. The log line of Breaking Bad is brilliant. A chemistry teacher has been diagnosed with cancer, only has a few months to live, and he uses his knowledge of chemistry to make drugs, an amazing drug, so he can then earn enough money to leave behind for his family. And to help him with this is one of his former students. That is a brilliant logline and brilliant story. And Breaking Bad had some amazing moments. Bryan Cranston's performance in this was outstanding. One of the scariest characters I've ever seen in my life was Tuco. That dude was frightening. I believe he was also in Training Day as well. One of the most frightening characters I've ever seen in my life. And I don't want to spoil anything, but just one of the most frightening characters I've ever seen in my life. For me, I didn't like Jesse, the guy that was partnering with Thingy. I didn't really like him, and I found him really, really annoying. And I felt that especially the last season, didn't really end strongly for me. I felt that it could have gone a certain way, that would have been a lot more dynamic, but it didn't really go that way, and it just felt a bit like, so the ending was like, oh, whatever. Game of Thrones. Now, let me just lay down the truth about Game of Thrones, because a lot of people talk of this stuff. Now, Game of Thrones is the best produced TV show of all time. I'll go further. Game of Thrones is the best produced fantasy that we've ever seen on screens. Bring Lord of the Rings, whatever. It is the best produced fantasy thing that has ever been seen. One of the most there has been no battles or wars that have been directed better than in Game of Thrones. Literally outstanding. The episode 9 of Game of Thrones, they're like films, and they easily exceed all the films. That's the good. The Game of Thrones story started really well, but for me, it has gotten a bit too convoluted and a bit too like, really? What? Okay, are you not just doing this for shock value? The acting in Game of Thrones has depreciated. I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't seen anything, because again, I'm a guy that I don't believe in spoilers. But let's just say that the acting started really well. There were some superb actors in there. And right now what we have, there's only one guy who is quality. And that's your boy Peter Dinklage, who plays Tyrion. He's the only guy who said, no, that guy is quality. But there were some, I don't want to spoil anything. Basically, I just feel like the acting of Game of Thrones right now for me is not up to par. A lot of the actors that, I'm sorry, this acting isn't is not very good. And I think that is what really brings it down. The writing isn't that great. And I've heard a lot of people who've read the book and I've said that, no, man, the book is a lot better. So I think people get it misconstrued. Benioff and Weiss are not the creators of Game of Thrones. It's George R.R. Martin. So everything that is good about the TV show, story-wise, character-wise, it is very dynamic because it is fantasy as if it was directed by Tarantino. That's pretty much what Game of Thrones is like. Imagine if Quentin Tarantino directed a fantasy series. That is the concept, because it's very real, swearing, a lot of sex, but it's still on a fantasy, which makes it different. But the writing for me has waned. It's gotten very obvious, very, very, very cheap, and very, very predictable. And I think those are the ones that I think a lot of people have been talking about. If there are any other TV shows, I'll end it with this, and I think I actually mentioned this in a tweet. Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica has, first of all, Battlestar Galactica has one of the best performances I've ever seen in any TV series. Edward James Olmos's performance in Battlestar Galactica is outstanding. Literally, just for his performance, you should watch it. The thing about Battlestar Galactica is this. It wasn't always good. There are a few characters that I had beef with, and it was up and down. My biggest beef with Star Wars is, it's called Star Wars. Where the hell is the war? Battlestar Galactica, the feeling I have of it, the aesthetic, the aura, is what I think Star Wars should be. Some of the space battles, the tension, the atmosphere, is because that's all it does. Like, it was such a very interesting way of telling a space war story. Very, very interesting. And I just think that, like, if you're into sci-fi and fantasy, 1000%, I really recommend Battlestar Galactica, because it's basically, imagine a gritty sci-fi fantasy, which is what it is. Gritty sci-fi fantasy, which is very interesting, and a very intricate story. Very intricate story that is very dynamic, very unpredictable, and really goes different ways that you would not really see. So, really, really good series. Again, if there are any other TV shows that you think I should be watching, I don't want to watch, I do want to try and find time to watch Deadwood. I'm a huge fan of Westerns, and Ian McShane, from the films I've seen him in, is like a bloody good actor. So to see him being given a full series, that's one I definitely want to give a call out. So yeah, give me any TV series that you think are good, sci-fi, fantasy, that's my thing, or strong crime drama. Hit at me. All right, peace.